I don't I don't know anymore. I honestly I don't know. I don't know. So I'm in a coffee shop and there's a guy in front of me with his son. Son's probably like 5. And he's looking through the little section where all the water bottles and the milk and the snacks are. And he says to the person behind the counter, "Hey, do you have any chocolate milk?" It's there's none here, right? So the person behind the counter looks and she says, "Sorry, no, we don't have any chocolate milk." And the guy's like, "Oh, okay." And I like he's done. And I probably should have minded my own business, but I don't do that so well. And I said, "Excuse me, maybe check in the back." I mean, I'm just saying, there's, little kids really sad. He's almost like crying. And the girl's very nice, young lady's very nice. She's like, "Oh, I don't have a key to the back." Okay. So I said, "All right, don't you guys have milk, like for the coffees and stuff?" She's like, "Yeah, of course." And I said, and don't you have chocolate syrup for like the mochas and all of that?" She goes, "Yeah, of course." I said, "So why don't you just maybe, I don't know, why don't you get some milk, put it in a cup, add some chocolate syrup, and make chocolate milk?" She looked at me and she said, "I don't know how to do that." You don't? So I said, do you want me to help you?" And she said, "No, you can't come back here." I said, "Just put it here on the counter. I'll do it." She's like, "Oh, okay. Super sweet. Super sweet." So she gets a cup. And meanwhile, the dad's like chuckling. He's just chuckling. She puts a cup, like one of the like venti, mochi, giganti, pumanati, ravioli, the cups, right? I said, "Pour. How much milk? How much milk?" I said, "It doesn't, like this much." He's a little kid. This much milk. So she pours in some milk and then she brings over one of the chocolate syrup things and I pour it in there and I need a sip. Beautiful cup, right? Pours in the chocolate syrup. I said, "Can I have a spoon?" She gives me a spoon and I stir it. I stir. Remember how we used to do back in the day with Ovaltine and with like Nesquik and with chocolate syrup, So I stir it and it was like I was Dumbledore to her. She's like, and I said, "Boom, chocolate milk." And I said to the dad, "Is this good?" And so I put the cup on it and she looks nervous and she calls over a manager and she said, "There's no button for this. There's no button on the cash register for the..." So the manager, who I'm thinking probably, is in management because she can manage things, goes, "Just give it to him for free." Which was great. Little kid's happy, gets a straw, gets some Rich Bee homemade chocolate milk, and they go on. The dad's like, "Thanks." I'm like, "You're welcome." And so the young lady was like, "Wow." And the manager goes, "We probably should add a key on the cash register for chocolate milk." And then the young lady says, "Oh, yeah, but we should probably have like a training on how to do it for all the newer people. Because the newer people need training, but she doesn't. She doesn't need training." Do you know how to make chocolate? Do you know how to make chocolate milk? I'm just curious. Please in the comments put your recipe for chocolate milk. Okay? Okay. Love ya.